match of the day, G2 versus Classic Stanley. Who's going to be the final team included in league play of RLCS Season 2 for North America? We're about to find out. With the commentary, it's going to be Leaf and Finable Carpet. Take it away, guys.
We're finishing her off with a good one. We got G2 Esports and Classic Stanley, as they just mentioned, and this is the one that I think a lot of people have been waiting for, and I don't think Classic Stanley was expecting this, to be honest.
I'm sure they're like, really? Really, G2? I have to go against you right now in the lower bracket. I did not expect to see G2 bookend our show today. They opened it up, and now they're closing it.
Yep.
Let's hope that they're not actually closing it and they're actually going to be able to continue on. There's a like Axel said, there's a lot of weight on their shoulders right now. They have all the weight is on them. They just have to do it. Like everyone's looking for them to win. Everyone's looking for G2 to make this. And I hope they're not listening to me right now, because I'm definitely would be making it a much worse for them
situation
if they're listening to how much pressure I'm saying they have right now.
I mean, talking to them beforehand, it did seem like they had a good amount of confidence coming into this. I mean, now they're in the lower bracket, but they still even had that as an option. They said, even if we end up in the lower bracket, we're very confident that we can end up in the finals and making it into the league play. So they're very confident in this. So as you said, it is up to them to make sure that they win this one. Not to take credit away from their opponents, Classic Stanley, but this is going to be the biggest battle of Classic Stanley's life, as G2 is expected to win this one. As they get underway, game number 1 of our final best of 5 of the NA League Play games. See who's going to walk away with it. Is G2 going to be out of this tournament? Or are they going to make sure they get back into that league play? They're starting it off with offense and a backboard pass out to no one. That's a long goal potentially happening there for Classic Stanley, but it was a little bit wide. King Wizard going to try to drop this down. In there for Birdman, but a bit of a miss there for Birdman. Sir Timbers trying his best. Just make sure that ball stays on offense. And there's, again, no one in net for G2. A couple times we've seen that, and they got to watch out for that. But Classic Stanley just cannot put the ball on net.
Yeah, G2 needs to be careful. There are 2 chances they've actually given Classic Stanley that were in all of Classic Stanley's hand. There were 2 missed opportunities. It was a wide open net that was a hard clear. He didn't expect it, so he put it to the corner. And then another shot that someone just missed on Classic Stanley. But that means G2 left it literally all up into the hands of their opponents to not make the goals. G2 needs to make sure that goal is never open.
Absolutely, and I think they're just trying to come out strong to scare their opponents, but that could turn around for them the wrong way. I think they've smartened up a bit now. Haven't seen any more close calls as of yet, but G2 is trying to get out, as Classic Stanley is putting a good amount of pressure on them on offense, but Classic Stanley has to make sure they watch out for the same thing and not overcommit too much when they're trying to create any scoring opportunities. Good passing play from G2. Kronovi expecting that to go down, tries to go for it. Lachinio last one back, has to give to the side, but there's Sir Timbers trying to squeeze that one by. Scary situation again, as they almost overcommit. And it looks like Overzero actually back in the Batman, so I think now he's feeling good.
Let's hope so. Let's hope maybe it'll give him some of that juice. Some of that juice to get the shots he needs.
There's Overzero waiting for Kronovi to take the hit, scoring opportunity, and of course, Kronobli's not going to miss that one.
Kronobly is not going to miss a shot like this. But again, still not a very easy shot coming off the side. He has to get the angle. Notice how instead of just rotating his car, air rolling it to the left and trying to hit it, he actually comes from the right, turns his car so he's facing the net. That way he knows no matter what, it's going to go at least towards the net. And, you know, it might not be directly in the middle or right or left, but at least it's going to be going towards the net.
An accurate, strong hit, and that's the best you want. You don't want to leave those open net situations an open net. You want the ball in the back of it, approaching halfway market, only up by 1 goal. G2 looking right now to get another one. Lachinio finding a hole in defense, squeezes that one by. Easy peasy for him.
Now they're starting to put some pressure on Classic Stanley, falling apart a little bit. See Birdman go over that touch, and then just a little too late. King Wizard was on that back wall, expecting something higher. Lachinio noticed. He's like, well, you're not going to get this, buddy.
Yeah,
I see you over there trying to Spider-Man this cool save. I'm not going to make it a crazy shot. He just puts it down on the bottom. King Wizard unable to reach it in time.
Absolutely. Up 2-0, about to be 3. King Wizard having to get away with that one. A very well-placed shot by Overzero. Forces them into a save. Birdman trying to get the clear, but Overzero keeping that one in. Kronovi just going to try to be a nuisance. Got that heat wave and the GT. Now I'm really angry. Overzero trying to be a nuisance there. Shot on net as Kronovi throws that one right back down to midfield. I'm going to leave that one alone for a second. So Timbers playing very aggressive on positioning right now, expecting to pass. Almost comes out, but with Kronovi and Overzero on offense, got a little bit scared, had to rotate back. Now they are with a chance here, but that's 50-50 going in Lichinio's favor. Now another scoring opportunity. Wasn't sure who was going to get that one as they both kind of team shot that one.
They saw the net, they both knew they had a full opportunity, which sometimes can be risky. If too many of your players think you can make something out of it, and you do both go for it, you can either get in each other's way, or if one of you does miss it per se, now both of you are out of position, in that case, you know, when Chronobly's going for it, we got to stop calling him Chronobly.
It's Chronobly, it's Cornelius. Lichinio with another one on net. Birdman does keep it up, but Chronoby up for another one. Puts it on target. Another save there coming up for Birdman. He's finding himself all over defense at the moment, and now ready for an attack. Over 0 kills out Sir Timber as they want to get another attack on net. Birdman having to rush to that. Multiple saves for him, for his team, and there's a passing play. King Wizard almost able to finish it, but he does get met by Chronoby there. And there is another shot from Lichinio. 4-0 now with 1:20 left. G2 is starting to move fast.
In the beginning of this game, I was a little scared. G2 didn't really pick up the pace, but they were almost even toe-to-toe as to who was keeping possession, who was taking shots on goal. But there we just saw Lichinio getting his car upside down, trying to get that side touch to keep the momentum on that ball, put it to the top of the net. As you said, they are starting to bring it up.
Absolutely. They're playing their game comfortably now. They're given a lot of space, and that's just becoming an issue for Classic Stanley. Over 0 with a double tap.
Classic Stanley is just giving them too much room. Birdman did get beat, or sorry, it wasn't Birdman. The 50-50 got won by G2 right there. Birdman then having to go back. No one was sitting back. They're all coming up a little bit too much. I think they're antsy to try and get goals on G2. Maybe they're trying to tilt them, but they're not preparing themselves for, you know, counterattacks.
All 3 orange players now on the attack. As they try to move that one in for another one, they're probably going for a high score in this. Trying to give DM Rawlings some stats to work with. Chronoby with another one going wide, but he will follow up that touch from King Wizard as they put it off the backboard. Over 0 trying to finish that one off, but 48 seconds left. I don't see a comeback of 5-goal deficit.
I would love to see one.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
Oh, yeah, no, that would be a momentous day for Rocket League. The day someone comes back 0-5 against G2.
Against G2 especially, right? But I'm sure they're going to keep trying, and they're going to do their best to keep their heads in the game. Coming to the next ones, we've seen Brazil's before, and teams come back and win the entire series. So we are not going to count out Classic Stanley as of yet, but this game looking very convincing on the side of G2. I don't know if there's anything specifically that the Classic Stanley can do to win the next series, or if they're just going to be outplayed and outclassed.
I think they can. They seem to do okay in that first minute against them. They were kind of going toe-to-toe, but they're giving them space. I mean, like I've said this so many times, but against a really high-caliber team, the more space you give them, the more they're going to use it and utilize it. These are players that know how, if you give them any kind of space, they'll slow the play down. They're like, all right, fine, I'll start dribbling it around you. Or if you get the space in the air, they're like, I'll start striking it around. They are just flailing about.
I love how just excited they look there. That is,
it was almost like Len all over.
It's a true statement of what their team spirit is about. Absolutely. But there it is. First game going to G2 Esports 5-0 in favor, of course, G2 Esports. And started off very close. And as you mentioned, a little bit scary how they were starting to play. But they just started to tear away with it, taking that game. And it's, you know, as we said, it's up to them to win this series. And it's tough to see if you know, their opponents, Classic Stanley, can even come away with a single win out of this. Way too much space, as we said. That's the big, real factor here.
Yeah, close that space. Like, use that boost that you have. Just try and get up in their face, mess them up, because they love having space. I mean, like, I love it when I play against a team, or if I'm playing with some buddies that aren't, you know, as new or, you know, a little new at Rocket League. I'm like, I got all this space. I'm gonna start doing some crazy stuff.
Yep.
And the more space you give them, you saw they were sending 2 players off for the ball, and they weren't getting punished. Over 0 and Chronoby a few times, both went up for the same shot. Didn't really affect them though, because they weren't closing that gap. They were too busy trying to defend shots as opposed to trying to make opportunities themselves.
Absolutely.
Or close those gaps.
No one was contesting things. They were just giving them space to just do what they want. As you said, even if they just start contesting them, they might even get some lucky pinches. They'll send them back down towards these open goals. Because there's a lot of overcommitments from G2 right now, but it doesn't matter.
That's kind of their curse.
Absolutely. So much pressure, but lack of defense, but didn't seem to make a difference. 0 goals were scored on them in the first game. G2 Esports looking for that 3-0. We'll find out if they can do that in game number 2, or if Classic Stanley is going to be able to take a point onto the board in this best of 5. Get at least 2 more games for you guys. We'll see if we can see some awesome aerials coming out we started seeing near the end of game number 2. Pressure already on for Classic Stanley as they try to get that first early goal. 20 seconds in, though. There's a shot on net, stopped out by 2 defenders. Kronovi getting credit for that one. A flick forwards towards the net, and that's going to be the first goal. Good control from Kronovi, and there it is.
A lot of great decision-making we just saw from Kronovi right before he had the shot opportunity, which, as you can tell, he gets that first touch, sucks the defender in, and then pops it. But before that, he takes it up off his own corner. It hits the ceiling, not a good bounce. So what does he do? Immediately turns around, stays grounded, so he can make jumping reactions. He doesn't try and force anything out of it. Able to save it across the net, which is what gave him the shot opportunity.
Absolutely. Sir Timbers with a good shot of his own there, but it does get stopped out by the defense. Lucinio with a potential center, but Birdman intercepting that one. Back down into the G2 side of this pitch as King Wizard and Sir Timbers throw that one up. Birdman trying to get it past Lucinio, almost gets that into the far side. I think Lucinio got enough of that one, but he was able to stay on the right side of the goal line in a slow roller from Overzero. Going to put the second one in.
Getting close. G2's getting a little uncomfortable on defense, as we saw almost. There's been 2 opportunities where Stanley's almost put it in, but in this case, they had to overcommit just a little bit too much to try and make that happen.
I think that's the thing. They're being forced into an uncomfortable situation, forced to put on so much pressure on offense that they're forgetting that there's a defense side to play in this game. 3:50 left in this. Only 2 goals down now, but there's looking to be almost another one. Overzero almost gets another touch on that one. Kronovi with a flick up, and there he is. Grabavoli getting another goal for their team.
Overzero with a good flick, and then a good dunk, almost putting it in. King Wizard seemed a little too panicked. He wasn't able to get the ball touched to the outside, giving Kronovi, again, like I said, all the space in the world. Especially Kronovi, one of the best strikers I've ever seen, can place that ball wherever he wants. So if you give him the space and he sees somebody in net, he will put it where they will not be able to reach him.
Absolutely. Sir Timbers and Birdman looking to push this up. Wizard waiting in case it gets cleared. He knows there's a huge potential for that. Now they're lacking pressure and giving Lucinio a lot of time to get that one right up to Crovioli, and another one for G2.
Birdman following King Wizard just a little bit too close. We saw King just wasn't really able to, he kind of hesitated, stopped. Once you lose momentum of your car, there's only so much you're going to be able to pull off. All you're going to be able to do is just kind of body it, and it's going to flail off your car. So once he stopped and tried to wait for the ball to come to him, his teammate was following up right behind him, wasn't really able to make something out of that, and then that's where they got caught off guard.
Absolutely. That's such a weird spot to find yourself in when you're driving forward, you stop, you psych yourself out, and now you're just completely out of any play. You want to avoid that, keep your momentum moving, and that's how you gain pace. A good clear here back down into the G2 end. Only 4 goals down, 3 minutes left, lots of time. Scoring chance here for Birdman. Does get stuffed out by Lucinio. Look at all the points he just got for that one. That bicycle save, epic. Keeps it out and at a 4-0 shutout at this moment. But as we said, lots of time. And Classic Stanley just has to find those individual moments, play it smart to get goals. Redirect shot almost coming out from Sir Timbers, but way too wide on that one. They're still going to sit at 0 goals in the net. Birdman trying to get another one himself. They're getting some more opportunities now. They just, again, have to watch that overcommittance and leaving their net open. Birdman playing that one smart, just keeping it to the side, but it does get stolen away by Kronovi. Overzero trying to get goal out of that one. Back onto the G2 side as Classic Stanley looking for their first goal.
As we do know, G2 does sometimes suffer from the ailment that is overcommitment. So every now and then,
Yeah.
well, you know, we've talked about it many times as we watch them. They're a team that likes to play very aggressive. But, oh, almost an opportunity. Will they be able to make it out? They do!
There it is! Classic Stanley getting their first goal of the series.
Just as I say that, Classic Stanley, Birdman tapping that right over the last defender. And then Kronovi trying to put it over. So Birdman follows it through, gets underneath it, just to pop it over Kronovi. Deliberately doesn't want to take the shot on net at that point. He just wants to set it up for a teammate, which he does perfectly. Sir Timbers finishes the goal off.
I know we're getting so excited over a goal, but it's, I mean, you got to understand how good G2 is, and even getting something like that is insane. I'd be honored just to be in a match with them, let alone a goal. But 4-1, the minute 50 left. 3 goals is a lot more reasonable than that 5-0 deficit they saw in the first game. I'm sure that felt good to get that first goal. They just have to keep playing smart, and it's all a matter of how long can they keep it up if they do eventually gain momentum. There's a touch almost coming up from King Wizard as he tries to receive that pass from Birdman there. Back on offense, but an easy clear for Lucinio. Overzero going to follow it. He misses on that one, actually. Sir Timbers, good communication, leaves that one for King Wizard. way out of his possession, though. Kronovi's going to play it smart in front of the net. No shot. Kronovi does keep that to the side. Now he tries to make an attack himself. I think they're just going to try to play as smart as they can, and I'm thinking they're going to try to set up something cool for G2, or maybe they're finally feeling some pressure from Classic Stanley.
They might be. It doesn't seem like they're very terrified on defense. You know, there was that one goal that went in. They just kind of got beat out on their retreat. Having to come back quickly on defense is always a tough situation. The counterattacks, they are able to mount quite a bit of counterattacks.
Oh, that angle almost going in. Luchinio almost meeting up with it as well, just in case it went off the side as it did. But now, shot potential. King Wizard a little bit too far for that. Isn't going to be able to put that in the spot that he needs. Birdman left in an awkward spot as Overzero runs that one down the wall towards the net, and no one at All-Star Base says it all.
That was interesting, to say the least. From their own half, we saw Birdman retreating back, and then just no one really goes for it.
They're just like, okay, you know what, here, have another
It looked like Survivors might have been out of boost, which is why it looked a little awkward of him just looking at it, trying to drive at it, and not making it in time. But it's a little hard to say exactly what happened there. He might have. I think he might have thought someone was behind him as well. Too many factors. I'm not in their comms. I don't know.
Sir Timbers trying to get a shot there. Doesn't get a touch that he needs. A drop down here. At least one more goal would be good for them coming into the final. 15 seconds of gameplay at a 5-1 for G2 Esports. They're only up 1 in the series. There's still one more after this, but it looks like game number 2 is going to be going to G2 Esports over Classic Stanley.
We have now seen 2 dominating victories from G2 Esports, which is not exactly surprising. It's what we expected to see, especially in the lower bracket. G2 getting knocked down here, but I know there is no way they're going to allow themselves to go home from this situation. They are definitely going to, I know in their heads, they're like, we're not going to not make it. I mean, look at those titles. They're RLCS World Champions.
Those are really nice
right
titles.
there. It's even underneath their names, looking all pretty and blue. But the pressure, luckily, isn't getting to them so far. They, 5-0 the first game, 5-1 the second game. They're just overall keeping control. They're not having to strain too hard for it. They're not doing anything too crazy.
It's weird because like you look at them, they're just cars on the field, but you can just tell that they're playing comfortably, and they're not, as you said, too stressed out. It just their play style feels very comfortable. There are some mistakes here and there, and that comes from comfortableness. They're just doing what they got to do on the field. It's looking very convincing that G2 is most likely going to take the next one. We don't want to count them out. Anything can happen in Rocket League.
Of course, yeah, and we've seen. I mean, G2 is in the lower bracket. That counts as the anything can
that
happen.
Isn't anything can happen.
Granted,
in
they lost
League.
to a fantastic team, so
absolutely.
But it's just one of those situations you don't expect to see this. Classic Stanley, it's just they're having a hard time keeping up with the pace, and they're not really being able to make a lot of plays on the offensive side. It's really hard for me to kind of see because G2's had a lot of control.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to see exactly where Classic Stanley isn't able to make things happen, I suppose. But G2 overall definitely showing a lot better. And you can usually, like you mentioned, like you can see when the team's comfortable. You can tell when someone's sweating, especially because we've watched these players play a lot.
Yeah.
You can tell when they're breaking their back. They're not like writing off Classic Stanley at all, but they're just playing clinical and smart. They're not doing anything wild. They just want to get a couple goals in, and they want to take this victory.
A couple goals, a couple wins. That's all they need. One more game for G2 Esports against Classic Stanley, and they're going to secure themselves a spot in that league play, but Birdman going to start his team off on the right foot with a quick early kickoff goal.
It's a really good shot by Birdman. He comes from the right side of the ball, gets around it, rotates his car so that he hits the left side of the ball. Kronovi not able to get him back in time again, not leaving anybody in net after kickoff. Resulted in a goal.
First goal, 4 seconds in for Classic Stanley as they try to bring the series back against the world-renowned and the world champions, G2 Esports. Long shot there going in, almost a quick answer. Sir Timbers does manage to keep it out, but a roll in front, going to be an awkward spot for Birdman. Actually gets a nice touch on that to leave King Wizard in a good spot to put that to midfield, but another shot on net, a little bit too close for comfort there. Birdman does keep that one almost as it crosses the goal line. They are getting stuck on the one. King Wizard a little bit tripped up in his own net there. Flipping, it just stops hitting the post. And it gives G2 another chance to keep that offensive pressure on. See if they can finally break out. Classic Stanley stuck on their own end. Once again, here's a chance. Soft touch, though, isn't going to be what they need if they want to finally break on offense. There's King Wizard with the touch out. Not in front of the net enough, I don't think, as Luchinio is going to be able to stuff out King Wizard's attempt at a shot. Kronovi going to put to the side, knowing that someone's going to be up there, contest that, put it in a spot that they can just keep possession of it. as he gives away possession to King Wizard.
As you said, we just watched Kronovi. Instead of taking a shot on goal, he puts it to the corner, which is smart in that case. Sir Timbers was actually up to challenge him. If you try and put it directly on target, it probably would have head off Sir Timbers, and it could have potentially been right towards their net.
Absolutely.
Given the positioning on the field, especially when they're in the middle of the field, a lot of touches go towards the net, even coincidentally. So it was smart on Kronovi to push that towards the corner instead.
Possession is a very, very important thing over a shot sometimes, but Kronovi, recognizing the shot was the most important thing at that moment, puts one in and ties it up.
Over0 came up for this touch. It looked like he was going to try and aim that towards the net. Wasn't able to get the height on it particularly, so instead he taps it backwards and down, alters the trajectory of the ball so it's not dropping where all the defenders thought it was. Kronovi was able to read that a little sooner because he saw his teammate going up for it.
Absolutely great pass from Over0, sets up his teammate Kronovi. Over0 tries to take one in himself though. There's Kronovi trying to set that up most likely for Lucinio. No, Over0 is going to stay in there, but sends that one the wrong way. Back pass to Lucinio. There's Kronovi waiting, but King Wizard does intercept that backboard pass. Over0 and Kronovi getting a hug before they create this next play. As they're stuck at midfield, Sir Timbers slowly but surely moving that one downtown towards that G2 net, and there's the shot. Birdman finishes it off and brings them back into the lead.
This is the plays. This is some nice quick plays. Off the side, Sir Timbers gets one more touch towards the middle of the net, and then you see Birdman falling up underneath that. It's actually a really tough angle from where he was.
I think he
like
air rolled
corner
it sideways and then flipped.
Yeah, I think he, either way, very impressive shot,
Yes.
and towards the crossbar, which makes it tough for anyone to save. G2 not ready for that shot at all.
Absolutely. Birdman trying to get another one there, just sets it down gently instead as Classic Stanley move back into their own end. G2 looking to get another one to even this up. Very strong hit back to midfield from Birdman. But it doesn't do anything for their team. Over0 almost sets that down for Lucinio. Could have been a great play. There's Kronovi with a hard hit to put that back in the box, but all three defenders for Classic Stanley ready for that one. Team shot moving back down into G2's end, just passing that halfway mark. We still have Classic Stanley in the lead at this moment. I'm wondering if it's going to stay that way or if G2 is going to snatch the dreams out of their hands very soon as they're starting to put on a lot of pressure. No third there, and Sir Timber is going to roll it down. King Wizard getting smart and expecting Kronovi to win that 50-50. Goes back and takes possession of it. Maybe that's what they got to do to make sure they keep possession, is expect G2 to win out on a lot of these 50-50 situations. Birdman on target. King Wizard trying to finish it up, but that chips right to the side. Sir Timber is now out of the play as G2 moves forward, leaving two defenders in net for Classic Stanley. Still up 2-1. Minute 45 left. There's got to be some handshaking in this situation.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, when Gibbs talks about this G2 roster, he does mention they love to give up the first game of any series. I think he mentioned one time they would even give up a game to bots if they were going against bots for 5 games.
Yep. Yeah.
They did not do so this game, but it's looking like they might still give a game up, potentially. Right now, we do have Classic Stanley in the lead with only a minute and a half left.
Good flick from Over0, tries to finish it himself. Kronovi up to Lucinio. The roll around, scary spot with only King Wizard back. Timbers might have been there too late, but he is finally in place. Shot from Kronovi. Push to the side through Timbers, trying to carry the whole way, but once again, soft touches and not very hard clears are proving to be a difficult situation for Classic Stanley. That one's going to be almost on target. King Wizard to the side. Birdman, King Wizard to keep it out. Got to make sure they don't overcommit anything with 50 seconds left. A single mistake is going to be capitalized on by G2. And to even pull away with one win in this series is going to be great, but that's going to be a shot from Over0 as they tie it up. And here come the Dream Snatchers.
Classic Stanley's been playing very well this game. They've had a couple of really good plays in the back, but every now and then G2 just going to make some good playing opportunities. Off that backboard, Over0 squeezing that into the corner of the net. We weren't able to get enough defensive rotations.
And it's looking like a situation we actually saw with Flipside in another team last season. They were up at one point and then just completely destroyed them. We'll see if they can get another one. Good shot from Kronovi as he gets a nice underside flip on that one, but King Wizard is in place to stop that one. Birdman almost getting taken out by Kronovi, is back in place now. Lucinio rushing back. Over0 with possession. No need to put haste on that anymore. So your teammate takes control. Called through from Over0, but a shot now coming out from King Wizard as they try to put that one on target. 10 seconds left. We're all tied up. G2 trying to make a move quickly. We might see an overtime, and that's a scary spot for Stanley. Unless they can put one in right here, that is going to drop overtime against G2 themselves. Guarantee guarantee nerves are going crazy right now for Classic Stanley.
They want to get at least a game off of it. If they can prove they can at least get one game, that means they can get the rest. They have played very well this time. We see them trying to read as much plays from G2 as possible, taking them off the back wall, trying to prevent the shots, cut off opportunities.
Shot from Sir Timbers. He's going to rush back, knowing that their teammates need to get up quick, and he needs to take their spot if they want to maintain any pressure. Passing play for Classic Stanley. Birdman misses out on that one, giving possession to Lichinio as G2 moves back up on offense. One person back, so Timbers has to get a good touch, and he does. There's a nice long clear that we were talking about in front of the net. Just to watch out for these touches from G2. Back pass to Birdman. Birdman trying to take control. Very slow pace of gameplay here. OverZero was just watching to see what he might do with that one. Pressure on, though, right now as Sir Timbers tries to put that one in front of the net. No one there to finish it off. Kronobi is going to roll that right back down into that blue side as Classic Stanley needs to get a good touch. There's King Wizard with a nice Spider-Man touch. Kronobi, though, past the last defender, and that's going to be the goal that secures them a spot in the league play.
This shot from Kronobi just beating out a defender again, getting around it, putting it to the corner. That was actually an incredible read so far from the side. It bounced really far off that sidewall, but he gets to quick enough before most teams would predict it right around the time where that goalie was. That's where most people would beat it. But Kronobi, for him, it's a little different. He can always get things a little bit early. But congratulations to G2 Esports making it into the group stages after being knocked down a lower bracket in the very first game of the day.
Credibly Duply putting them into that league play, and it looks like they're just, to all their naysayers out there, no, we got this, guys. No problem. There's that 3-0 against Classic Stanley. They almost had one game at the end there, so huge shout-outs to Classic Stanley. Great play from both teams, but there it is. We have our 8 NA teams that are making it into league play. So I'm going to send it back over to Desk and see what they have to say about it, and all the other teams that make it in, but congrats to everyone that played, and we'll see you, I guess, tomorrow, but over to the Desk.
Thank you, Leaf and Findable Carpet. Oh man, those games. The first two were like, all right, G2 Esports doing what they do. Defending world champions, all right, that makes a lot of sense. And then the overtime game happened. Classic Stanley showed a lot of promise. I thought actually King Wizard in particular made some awesome defensive plays, awesome aerial touches. But speaking of awesome touches, I think Kronobi just had some beautiful, just nice little flips at the exact moment to get a few goals. What do you think of that match?
The lead scorer for G2 coming up, Kronobi. He's Kronobi. Yeah. We watch him play all the time. He and OverZero and Lichinio are the world champions. Right. They had this game in the bag. They knew that they had it.
Yeah, like we saw the first two, and you saw like, okay, 5-0 the first game, 5-1 the second game. But that one goal from Classic Stanley was after 15 shots. Like they fought for that goal. And then in the last game, they were a little bit closer on their shots. So it's not like they were out. I mean, it was a battle. They fought for it. They almost had it. They showed promise, but G2 is G2, man. It's tough to beat them.
Quick 3-0, and we also have a Mobile One high-performance replay, of course. So let's take another look at that 3-0 and see just how G2 was able to dissect Classic Stanley.
Yeah, and it just started off with this OverZero goal. He knew as soon as he was going to tap that off the backboard that it was all him. Look at that touch, and then immediately up in the air, ready to blast it in.
Yeah, and we saw like at the beginning, this Classic Stanley team started to fight back, but they had to play some defense too. A couple of these shots started coming out, and Classic Stanley able to sneak a couple in.
Yeah, and that one, another heroic effort by OverZero, sets up a goal to Kronobi, who just sneaks that one in.
Yeah, but Classic Stanley finally getting their first goal with the help of a team. You see Birdman flying for himself off the crossbar, but then following it up, Sir Timbers. Both of those two like worked together as a unit to make that happen. They needed to do that a little bit sooner, but it just didn't matter. Yeah. As soon as G2 had something going, they punished.
And in Game 3, we saw more life from Classic Stanley, especially Birdman off of that beautiful pass from Sir Timbers. Birdman had some great goals, keeping Classic Stanley in it, but in the end, Kronobi, the one to put the dagger in overtime.
Yeah, beautiful pass from OverZero at the end there. Playing that off the wall and then across field. Kronobi's just waiting for it. You know he's ready to cherry pick any shot that comes his way.
Yeah, fun to watch G2. We got to see 2 matches from them today, of course. That might speak to how powerful Take-Two is, I suppose, because Take-Two took out G2 a little bit earlier in the day. If you missed that, check out the VODs. You definitely want to watch all the games here on twitch.tv/Rocket League. But, I guess it suits what we're doing here. The last spot in league play, the world champions end up taking it down. So they made it fun, but G2 finally making it in.
Yeah, sneaking it in from the lower bracket. but still a lot of names that we're familiar with moving on into league play, but even some newcomers, especially Deception with Vince and with Fireworks and Corrupted G. Seeing those guys make it really special just goes to show you that, no matter what, if you commit the time to the game and you play over and over and just put in the hours, you really do have a shot to play on the biggest stage in the world.
It's beautiful to see that storyline happen. Is these guys have been trying so hard just to make it in, to make a name for themselves, and now they have. They've got 3 weeks to really bust it out.
And remember, we started with how many? What was the number in the beginning?
Over
of the show?
5,000 teams. Over 5,000 teams.
And now we're down to 8 who are in league play for our RLCS Season 2. Let's take a look at the 8 teams that we will be watching compete in league play to ultimately get that final prize of World Champion. Kings of Urban, Take-Two, Exodus, Revival, Vendetta, Deception, Genesis, and G2 Esports. James, you're talking a little bit about Deception being a new name, a fresh name. Any other names out there that really shout at you?
Yeah, so some names that we maybe aren't as familiar with, Take-Two, but that was the old Market NA squad. Now they're independent, Take-Two, Zane, Rizzo, and Insolences, and then also Revival, which was the old Orbit squad, and now just adding Chrome instead of Zane Jackie. So a lot of these players are players that we've seen in North America, except for Deception. That is all players who have not made it into any of the previous qualifiers in any part of the RLCS. So that team all new, and then a lot of familiar faces in NA.
I'm sure they're all ready to get back into it just as much as we are.
Now, I have to ask a question of these 8 teams to put you guys on the spot a little bit. Is there 1 or 2 teams, or even 3, that you're absolutely keeping an eye on based on the games that you saw today that who have a really good shot at making a big run in RLCS Season 2?
Obviously, Take-Two. Those guys, especially
With
from
Rizzo.
Rizzo.
Rizzo went off today.
Yeah,
He's a beast.
Thank goodness he did not stop
Can we watch
playing
those highlights
competitive.
again, please? Those were amazing, man.
Yeah, so Take-Two is definitely a big one. Then also, you can't count out Exodus. These guys have just been continually moving up and up and up. Exodus, a team that was another bubble team, but just kept putting in time and time again. Garrett, the first ever grand champion in Season 3, because he just put in a ridiculous amount of hours. Those guys, a team that put their nose to the grindstone and just play, and they still just continue to move up. So Exodus, I look for them to be a star in North America.
Can't argue with him. He's right on every count, and it just goes to show, like, you see these younger kids that have some time that can just keep playing over and over again. Selfless was a prime example. These kids play all day, and you just watch them, and you're like, I can't. I just can't.
I wish
someday,
I had
right?
it. Yeah, I wish I
Maybe
had
in another couple thousand hours we'll be all right. Like,
And we get the true treat because we get to watch all these teams battle it out in league play to find out who's eventually going to make it to that live final, make it through the regional playoffs. But that is going to bring us to a bit of a close here for this North American qualifier day of the Rocket League Championship Series. Once again, congratulations to the 8 teams that are making it to league play. Kings of Urban, Take-Two, Exodus, Revival, Vendetta, Deception, Genesis, and G2 Esports. Thank you all for watching and staying tuned to all of our coverage here on twitch.tv/Rocket League of the Rocket League Championship Series Season 2. It is already off to an amazing start. Tomorrow, it's all about Europe. We should look at a clock right now. How many hours from now? It's pretty early in the morning tomorrow. I know we're all excited about that. We're going to start at 9 a.m. Pacific here, which in Europe, CEST is 6 p.m. CEST. So mark your calendars, set your alarms. In fact, just keep the stream open right now, or maybe minimize it. But we're going to be right here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the European matches. Basically, take what we did today in North America. It's all about Europe tomorrow. So that's going to wrap up for the show today. On behalf of Lawler, James Bott, all the other commentators, I'm Axel Toss. Thanks for watching the Rocket League Championship Series. We'll see you tomorrow.